Welcome, everyone, to the Autism Exchange Podcast. We aim to communicate and collaborate. We want to have conversations for families and for professionals. We want to have real talk with real sharing, and we want to be really relatable, and we want to have fun. So welcome today. We have Janice Krempa. We have Kirsten Coldiron, and I should say my lovely bride, Kirsten Coldiron, with us. My name is Michael Coldiron. I'll introduce myself real quick. First episode, I think it's big stuff. So we're really excited to bring it to you. Kirsten and I are accidental farmers. We moved back home and landed onto a 100-acre farm. We knew nothing about it, and the only thing we thought was maybe our kids will learn something from that. Yeah, I happen to be an occupational therapist. I do work in pediatrics and have for a long time. And in that, I really enjoy just getting to meet new people and have candid conversation that I think helps both therapist me and person me grow, you know? Janice, tell us about you.
Yes. Let's see. I am a behavior analyst and a mom. I do not have a farm, but I have a film club that I run, and I'm very exciting about that. And I think throughout my whole career as a behavior analyst and even as a mom, and now it really is getting to meet new people and getting to sort of learn about them and their families, and just sort of enrich who I am to sort of have that many more perspectives that I can learn from and draw from and be inspired by. So I am so excited that we're doing this, Michael. This is amazing. And this guest today is extraordinary for many reasons. And your bride aside of that, those reasons, I'm looking forward to getting to talk to Kirsten today.
Yeah. So, first of all, Janice, I got to put a pin in the film club. Because we are going to revisit that in a few minutes. There's just too much gold there to let it
Right.
go. Uh, Kirsten, I call you Kirsty or Kirst, you never know. So I'll refer to you however you prefer, darling. But tell us about you.
Well, I right now have been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. Michael and I have two little boys. PJ is 6 and Levi is 3. And I'm here today to talk to you all because PJ is autistic. So I have a lot of lived experience in that arena. Before I became a stay-at-home mom, I worked in marketing for an international coal company.
Which is cool. I think maybe it's just my weird black and white brain, but I just really love what they did with coal. And so we don't have to say the name or anything, but like, they always dig the big retention ponds to fill with water to use to clean coal. And that's not great environmentally. So what this company did was basically took a semi truck and they made it shake the dirt off the coal so they could clean it without having to dig those retention ponds.
Well, not a semi truck. It's like a very big plant you have to build.
Oh, okay. Well,
But basically, the coal would go on a belt and it shakes it in such a way that the dirt and rock falls off and the coal stays on. So you can clean your coal without any water.
which is great for the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So did they do something? I have to just ask this because I'm curious about this. What did they do with the debris that came off of the coal? Is that usable, or was that sort of like returned to those sort of the excavation sites?
Like returned. It would
Okay,
just be like dirt and rocks and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I
okay.
can't help but think there's some kind of life analogy. I'm just jumping in and going deep right away.
Shake off the bad
We are
stuff.
all rocks of coal. Just
Right.
shake the bad right off of you.
That's right. Looking for diamonds somewhere. Yes.
So, Janice, you have to. So Kirsten, Janice, Janice and I talked previously on the record about things about us, like what makes us tick and what we do, and fun facts, blah blah blah. Janice said she was the owner of a foam club, foam, and I heard FOAM, and I spent day. I
Are you
mean,
thinking
was it
like
we?
foam parties?
Yeah,
It
that's what
was
I
a
thought.
long time. It was a very, like, such a long time that when I got your text message, I was like, what is he talking about? I don't even
I did.
remember this
Because
conversation.
out of nowhere, I was like, Janice, I gotta know, man. Are we talking about like Dawn dish soap bubbles versus, like Mr. Clean bubbles? Like, how many kinds of foam are there? And then I even thought, like the froth on the top of a cappuccino or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe she was foam club where they like
I'm just
different.
like, that would be such a random text to receive.
Yeah. But it
I
turns out, so
know.
credit where credit is due. It's actually a really cool thing. It's film, FILM, in my Kentucky accent. Film club. Janice, tell Kirsten what it is because it's actually really cool.
Yeah, so I started a film club a couple years ago with my friends, and we would get together once a month and sort of dissect different films. And then over time, I started to create these really detailed film notes about the director and the writer and sort of the cultural relevance and blah, 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 all these different things. And I started making film notes that I would hand out for our club. And some of my friends said that they had friends that wanted to join the film club, but they lived in other parts of the country. And so they said, you should really make a film club online and teach people how to make their own film club and then offer these resources to them. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I've been working on. So I'm just about ready to bring it to fruition here online. But but I also have sort of some minor expertise in oat milk foam and milk foam and non-dairy almond milk foam.
One of the beaches that we go to, just because of proximity, it's a fine beach. It's lovely enough, but we go to the same one just because it's easier for us to get the kids there and cut the trip in half or whatever. But anyway, they always have this big place. I don't know what it's called. Do you remember that? Maybe the Hangout or something?
Oh yeah, the Hangout.
And they always promote these foam parties, and like they bring the kids in and play music and then just drop all these bubbles on top of them. And I was like, dang, Janice is like a DJ or something. And
oh my God, could you imagine? Oh,
no, I
DJ
really
night.
I wasn't judging you. I was just judging you. Like I just couldn't.
Oh no, you would judge me if you heard the music I'd be bringing to a DJ party. It wouldn't be good for anybody.
So quick thing, speaking of film club, favorite movie. I'll go first. Cool Runnings.
Oh,
Second, Home Alone
cool.
1. Third, Home Alone 3.
Home Alone 3.
Did I say 3? I meant
Yeah.
2. Third, Home Alone 2.
I was going to say you don't acknowledge
No, that one doesn't exist because Macaulay Culkin's not in it.
Right.
Rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara, too. That's awful. She was the best. We named a goat after her.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, one of her
cool.
characters.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Kirst, favorite movie?
Oh gosh. I really don't know. I feel like I haven't sat down and watched a movie in like, I don't know how long.
We'll get to that.
That actually is probably a great segue to really what to talk about.
Okay, give Kirsten a minute. Janice, you go.
Oh, I was kind of like skirt away from that. I've always liked the English patients, and I know I have 100 more, and I just can't can't think of any right now, and that's really embarrassing. And my brain is right now in autism exchange mode, so I'm going to fall on that and say that my multitasking brain is not quite ready to go yet. But boy,
That's
am I
okay.
ready.
I will
Just
say hearing about your film club reminds me of watching anything with my mom because the whole time she's sitting there Googling who is this actor, what else was he in, who directed this movie, da 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 da, and talking through the whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we'll sign both of you up for Janice's foam club.
Yes, please.
yeah.
Well, let's I guess we need to actually do this. Although I could talk about movies and foam all day. Kirst, thank you for being here. I mean, what we want to do is genuinely just be real. The last thing we said in our little tagline is that we want to be really relatable. We want people to be here with us, not listening to us talk to them, but just having real conversation. And Janice and I believe that when we just have real conversation, people can learn things from it without being told, here's what you need to do. Here's how you fix this. It's like, let's be human beings and let's celebrate everybody for their heart and their character and their mind. And then we can learn about skills along the way.
Yeah.
And so we're so thankful for you to be here. Janice and I will always say if there's anything that we try to bring up that might be, too personal or might be landing the wrong way, different than what we intended, say so, because we want this to be a humble conversation, and absolutely nothing wrong with saying, whoa, 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 I don't like that.
Okay.
So that's what we want, because again, an example is somebody might hear you say, whoa, 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 I don't want to talk about that. Maybe a listener is struggling to talk to a teacher at school because they keep asking about the same thing. And maybe that person needs to say, whoa, 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 I don't really feel comfortable with that.
Listen, one of the first things you have to learn as an autism parent is how to advocate for your child and then for yourself. And that is very hard.
Sure.
That's when I'm just going to jump on that for a second, because I remember when I was doing a lot of IEP meetings, and I was doing a lot of expert testifying, and when I was doing a program evaluations. Anywho, I became really comfortable and felt really good about advocating for my students and making sure that they were getting the very best that they could. But that didn't always necessarily translate into me being able to advocate for me. And so I
Yeah.
can imagine as a mom and as the caretaker and principal advocate for your child, there's also a part of you who had this whole career in life before you became a mom, that trying to balance that too, and that still sort of self advocacy of having that part of you still be recognized and appreciated. So I don't know if that's something, how you
Yeah.
feel about that, or if this is just projection on my part.
No, and I feel like it's probably not even like autism mom specific, but just when you go from being a professional to being a stay-at-home parent, it's such a big shift, especially if you've been taught to like measure your success based on your productivity, and all of a sudden, you know, I don't know, you're doing the same things every day. Nothing's ever done. You're always cleaning, always making another snack, changing another diaper. There's no one giving you feedback. And if you're used to like, having to achieve certain goals and feeling good about that, it's a really big shift.
I think that's a thing that society doesn't measure, because
Hmm.
what I hear what you're saying is there's nothing measurable
Yeah.
for success. Society doesn't see, but you're not measuring the number of changed diapers or
Hmm.
the number of dishes that you wash in a day. But and I know you're not missing this because I know you very well, but what a lot of people miss, I think, is looking at what you are accomplishing and how much more important that is than any productivity number or dollar or cent that's out there. And
Hmm.
that's raising good human beings.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just a big mindset shift when the whole time you're growing up, society is like, you need to be successful, you need to achieve things
mhm.
in order to, you start to equate that with valuing yourself. And then when you're switched to just staying home, it's a big thing to get used to. And I feel like I'm still 6 years in, 2 kids in, trying to find myself outside of defining myself as just a mom, because I am momming 24/7, 365. So it's kind of hard to separate that and just be Kirsten again. So I don't really have all the answers there yet. I'm kind of in the middle of it.
And you're not
Yeah.
expected to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you're so spot on, that we have grown up with, all these expectations that are like external rewards, right?
Yeah.
There's money, and there's, awards and accolades, and, getting called into the boss's office and being told you're doing such a great job, and a raise, like all corner office, the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, and then when you are working at home or staying at home with your child, and I know that from when I was a clinician too, even when your child does something or accomplishes something or learns something, it might take a little bit longer than maybe you were anticipating or hoping, or independent of the efforts that you've been putting into working on those things. And so that changes things too, because the rate of, for lack of a better term, the rate of reinforcement that you're getting for all of those efforts that you're putting in, doesn't always equal the amount of efforts that you're putting in, and the amount of
Yes.
time that you're spending. And, that's really hard. I can relate to that, but not to the degree, obviously, that you've been sort of going through. But I think it's a huge shift to be a stay-at-home mom, and also have principal charge of a child with autism, and just by
Yes.
nature of how they learn.
And that's probably why I feel like all parents do this, but you feel like responsible, or you feel like proud when your kid does something, like, oh, my kid slept through the night, like I must be doing something right, when really that's not up to you. But not to segue too far out of that, but like I remember feeling so guilty about PJ not being autistic, but him not speaking. I just felt like such a failure. Like it had to have been something that I did, that I wasn't talking to him enough, talking to him the right way, reading enough books, doing the right thing. And I feel like maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's all just an autism mom thing, or if I would have been that way if I was a working parent. I may have felt more guilt for not being there. I don't know. But
And I can speak to that too. And Kirsten's genuine about that statement. She asked me many, 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 many times, did I read enough books? Did I respond the right way? Did I this? Did I that? And I mean, it's sad, really, that people would look at themselves as the reason for something that is completely out of your control. You'd almost make an analogy to what you said about sleep. Like, oh, you're so proud because they slept through the night, but really you have no control over that.
yeah,
And it's the same thing. Like, maybe they're not talking, but you have no control over that.
I
Now,
think that's kind of the knowledge that you unfortunately only get the more children that you have.
yeah. But unless you listen to the Autism Exchange podcast,
Yes.
I'm kidding. But I do think it's important. I mean, I don't want to get too sappy, but I do think it's important to say, like, I have and Kirsten, I'll just use you as an example. Okay. Kirsten says, I'm worried about, A, B, C, and D with PJ or Levi. And I feel like I needed to take him to the doctor, but then what if nothing's wrong? Like, what if the doctor says, well, you're stupid for bringing him into the doctor? What concerns me more than somebody who takes their kid to the doctor when maybe they don't need to go is somebody who never goes. And so all of that to say, just the very nature of what you're describing is proof positive that you are a parent who is involved and who cares and loves your kids wholeheartedly, way more demanding on you than what should be. But that's just proof. I mean, that's proof that you are doing a great job. And I say that to you, and I also say that to any other parent who is so passionate about making sure that things are as good as they can be for their children, setting them up for success, but giving them a nurturing, loving environment too. But it's really concerning when people don't do that too.
Yeah.
And it's more concerning. So I know unfortunately, it comes with a lot of like self-doubt and some negative thought, but you do hear that's just evidence that you're a great parent. To both boys, and great wife.
Well, thank you.
Somebody, she kind of parents me in a way, if you want to be honest.
I think every wife does. That's just the part of our existence. But no,
Well, one of the things. I'm sorry, James. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think sometimes when people ask, are worried about whether or not they're doing the right thing or enough, I've found in my experience that those are the people that I look to for inspiration, because they just don't realize how much they're doing, and how effortlessly, or how much they're doing, and don't even realize it. So you probably doing 100 times more than you even realize. You're just ahead of it, so that you're not realizing what you're already doing. So
Yeah. I think it's just that thought of, I could always be doing more. I could always be working on this, but yeah.
Again, that's a motivated person. That's how you become a marketing professional for an international coal company. Like, your characteristics are so good. So one thing that's important to us is that we don't want to to put you up on a stage and say, tell us about, blah, blah, blah. What we want to do is just allow you to discuss the things that you find as important. And I am shifting a little bit here into the world of autism, but I don't want anyone to feel like we're glued there. Right. So
Okay.
a lot of this conversation could be applicable to PJ's little brother, or to grandparents, or, I mean, whatever. But one thing that we want to know, is unrelated or related to autism. Okay. What are some things that you love about PJ?
He's so funny. Like today at school drop off, he was still in the car, unbuckled. I was getting his backpack and bags to his aid, and he crawled up into the front seat and laid on the horn and then just giggled. Giggled so hard. And just little stuff like that is so funny. And like, I love the way that his brain works. Like, to get himself to take a deep breath when he's mad, he has started singing the happy birthday song because they blow out the candle at the end. And I'm just like, wow, that's so amazing that you made that connection and are like using it in that way. And one more amazing thing that I think he does.
Not just one more. You keep going. That's what we want to know.
Keep going. These are great.
I have seen him. His number one and first special interest has been the Disney Cars movie. He always carries Lightning McQueen around. We used to travel with like 100 different Disney cars in a bucket, literally everywhere. I think they even wheeled him back to get his ear tubes removed with a bucket full of Disney cars on the gurney with him. Anyway, one day he just kept like running back to his cars, running back to the table, setting them all up. And I realized he was recreating a movie poster that had probably 50 cars on it by memory.
And I saw it too.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the right spot, like
Because
angled
when
the
he
right way.
finished, I set up the movie poster on the iPad next to what he had created. And yeah, he did that completely by memory. It was crazy.
We're talking about Doc Hudson being at a 45-degree
Yeah.
angle beside Fillmore.
Yeah.
Like it was legit,
Yeah.
Wow.
Flo and Ramon being side by side, which is inevitable.
Yeah.
It was great detail for sure.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And all this time, we don't even realize how much he might be paying attention to that. And then he sort of repeats it. And it's like, that's extraordinary to think how he was gathering all those pieces of information over time and then just sort of like, okay, let's do that. That's great.
I want to say something I love about PJ and I admire and am jealous of, and that's the ability to think around problems. So obviously a lack of expressive language is difficult. And so he might come look at us in the eye and say a word that we can't quite understand. And it breaks our hearts because he's looking us right in the eyes and trying so hard. But then he'll find another way around it. Sometimes he'll go get his communication device and find it. But what if it's something that's not on there? So one example that he's done before is Humpty Dumpty. I had 3D printed him this little Humpty Dumpty egg thing that came apart so he could drop it and it would break and he could put it back together. And he was saying Humpty Dumpty to me. He couldn't understand it. Didn't have Humpty Dumpty on his iPad yet, so he couldn't tell me that's what he wanted to listen to. Dude went and got the egg and brought it to me and put it in my face. Like, this is what I want. And what I admire about that, yeah, you can say like he's a very sharp, brilliant kid. Yes. But what I really admire about that is that he has to be brave and has to be strong and has to be patient enough to go through all of these things that other people don't have to go through. And he still chooses to smile. Like he still chooses to be a happy, funny kid. And that's, there are days if I stub my toe, like I'm done for the day. I'm angry. I'm mad. But he can't tell you that he wants to eat chips sometimes, and he has to work around and all the effort that goes into that. It's just really, I don't know. It's commendable, I think. Is that a word?
Yeah.
That he's tough enough to go through that and still choose to be happy.
That reminds me of his birthday party when he wanted us to light the candle and sing happy birthday. So he was going around to everybody saying fire, fire, because he wanted them to light the candle.
Yeah, he did. And I kid you not. How many times did we sing it, you think? 70?
Gosh. At least 30, no exaggeration, in a row. Sing it and blow it out. Do it again.
That's where you got to get those candles and just keep sort of like.
Yes.
No, see, that's the scary part because if he doesn't succeed in blowing it out, he'll get so close that he like touches his lips to the fire. No. So sometimes I blow him out so we can start all over again.
Start all over again. That's
Yeah.
so amazing. When you think about the persistence and perseverance, I think of all the times, when you call somebody on the phone and you have a bad connection and it's like, I can't hear you. I'll talk to you later. I can't hear you. And it like gets staticky. And like, we have such a short patience for like a bad connection on the phone where it gets staticky or there's an echo and we get angry at the person and then like, hang up the phone. And here's this beautiful little boy that it's just going around and saying fire or bringing you an egg or, like he's finding so many ways to try to communicate and doing it, for a long time, not just saying, forget it, I'll hang up, I'll talk to you later, but he's being persistent and carrying through with that because it means that much to him, to connect and communicate with somebody else. So that just delights me when I hear that.
Oh, and that I think leads into, Kirsten, I want you to talk about this, but almost, I don't want to say recently because he's 6 years old and we've loved him forever, but he's like sort of recently he's been showing more pride in accomplishing tasks.
Oh, yeah.
Simple things like, sometimes it's hard for an adult to snap the top off of a banana to start the peel. We'll snap it for him sometimes and then hand it to him. But him peeling his own banana, it's like he is fired up. He's like, I
Yes.
did it, man.
His like proud little smile is so cute.
Oh, I love it. So do you
But then
have
that's,
bananas around the house or do you just allow him one at a time?
Listen, this child eats probably 6 bananas a day, every day.
he would prefer
Just to eat fruit.
fruit to ice cream, cookies, donuts.
Yeah, he won't eat any kind of candy. He's just starting to eat ice cream again. But like literally you could show him a cookie and a banana and he would choose the banana.
He was sick one time and we were just making sure that he wasn't getting dehydrated. And so I talked to the doctor and she was like, "You'll just give him a popsicle." I was like, "Yeah, he don't eat them." She's like, "Well, give him some juice." He doesn't drink juice. Well, what's he drink? Water. Well, what's he eat? Fruit. I mean, and one of the things I do a lot in the office is help people, not just with autism, but help kids in general, like eat better, improve their oral intake of nutrition that's important for them and at an age appropriate level. And it's funny because you see so many kids that will only eat donuts. So you only eat, sometimes it's color specific, only eat red chips. But one of the things that I've learned actually from Kirsten, and society thankfully is leaning toward this, let's not do things to the kid, let's do things with them instead of to them. And so I've changed, and I'm talking about like 8 feeding trainings, for therapists. And I've changed almost completely how I implement feeding therapy to people in need because it's not right to force somebody to, touch their tongue to something that makes them gag. Like that's mean. Nobody would like that. It's not fair. So I don't know. That's another thing. You said food and that got my mind going. Sorry. But tell us
No,
about PJ's. No,
can
go
I
ahead, Jenna.
say one thing that I think is important from what you said is that I think in general, overall, I would love to make the statements that I think interventions for kids on the spectrum have evolved such that they are getting to know the child a little bit more rather than saying this is an assessment and we need to check off boxes of an assessment, saying this is who this child is, this is what this family likes and enjoys and likes about this child, and so how do we make sure that we keep that the focus and keep the thing and then the intervention sort of works with and through and around that rather than becomes the focus. And it sounds like you've had my goal, I think, from this podcast is to help highlight some of those conversations so that other people then ideally would be able to communicate that to their service providers or their teachers or their family members even. Let's reframe how we look at this and let's get to know this amazing kid for all of these fantastic, fun, quirky, hilarious, tender, loving things that is this child. Let's work from that as our strength. So, okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
And not to change the subject, but I feel like I can tell right away when he's getting an assessment and starting to work with someone if they are the kind that wants to do things that are easier for them as a therapist or going to be easier for the child, you know?
Tell me
Like,
more.
Yes,
well,
please.
just thinking about like, I don't know if it's easier for them to, make them lick a food so they can check that off and say, oh, exposed, whatever, oral, tactile. I don't know. I'm just making up words.
No, that was actually right. Good job.
Instead of being like, okay, this child isn't wanting to do that. Let's see if maybe instead of licking a banana, if I can mash it up and have them finger paint with it and expose them that way first and like work our way up in a way that's comfortable for them and challenging them a little bit, but not, just shoving in their face because that's easier for me to get it done.
Yeah, and I promise this is not tooting my own horn. This is just an example of that. And I told you I've done several feeding courses to try to figure out, what does science say? One of them is very behavioral in nature, where you put a food under their chin that they don't want to eat and you count to 5 and then you remove it. And then you put it there and you count to 10 and you remove it, and then 15 and then 20. That's not being a human being, right?
It just makes me think, let me take a tarantula and put it on your chin, count to 5, take away. Like, that's how they feel about these things. Like, put yourself in their shoes,
That was good.
If someone puts a tarantula on my chin, I'm not going to sit there.
Yeah, but so what we have tried to do, just on that note, is we have the tools from several different approaches, right? Some of them may be not so great on their own, but then when you blend them together, I think that's when you can find a way to be a human. And I'll just use our clinic because that's where we're sitting, but we might try to say, here, touch this banana to your tongue. And if they just absolutely lose it, we're not sticking there. We're going backward. And then we're like, okay, if we can't touch our tongue, I wonder if we can touch our hands. So maybe let's make little dinosaurs out of bananas. And then we're at least touching it and we're smelling it and it's on the table in front of us. And so everything is measured.
Yeah.
But it's not doing something to them.
I feel like I don't know. It reminds me of some parenting advice where it's like, don't get yourself caught in a power struggle. Like sometimes with a toddler, if they're yelling no and you're like, oh, I have to make them do it because then they won't believe whatever, that my power, that they have to do what I say I have to do. And it's like, actually, let's take a step back. It's not really that important that they put their socks on right now. Like, I don't have to assert my power over them just to, get it done. And I feel like sometimes some therapists can be that way, like, oh, you're going to do this, that sort of mentality. If that makes sense. That wasn't very well said.
No, it was.
Yeah, it was perfectly said. And it's every behavior is communication. And maybe there's a reason why those socks aren't going on right now. And
Yeah.
the more important thing is to find out why, not just, when. It's not you're gonna do this now. It's like, well, why is this not happening right now?
Yeah.
About this is making it a challenge. Let's take that apart and see how we can work with that. So yeah.
Janice has this, and this is just another segue. I think we're full of those today. Just great, like hopping from
There's
train
so
to
many
train.
things to talk about.
But you said you get parenting advice where it's like you have to win everything. You can't be in a power struggle. Blah, blah, blah. Janice taught me about this thing that they use in their house, and like your home is your country, and your country has its own laws. And if you go to, North Korea, you're probably going to abide by their laws because that's their border and that's their country. And she and I talked about this at length, about how it's okay to all have our own country and our own laws and our own understanding. And people should be respectful of that when they come into your home, which is your country. And maybe some parents in their own country say, I will fight with my toddler over putting a sock on or like putting the paper in the trash, and they choose to do that. If we're at their house, that's our responsibility. We have to abide by the law. But in our house, it might look different. And so anybody we welcome into our country. And so I bring this up because I want to talk about screen time. I think screen time is something that in general, and I don't want to say like everybody needs a screen 24/7. That's not what I'm saying, but we hear a lot of limit the LED light, limit the screen, limit the videos, limit the stuff.
Meanwhile, in school, they're given a Chromebook in kindergarten, but I just wanted to add that in.
Good point.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yes, that
Yeah.
drives me crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
No, so in our country, we have learned that for our son with autism, the iPad time is regulating just the same as like the tools that we would use in therapy, like swings and bolsters and joint compress, all the stuff that's regulating. That is also regulating, and that keeps him comfortable and that keeps him happy in environments that are stressful. Mexican food is one of probably PJ's favorite food ever.
Yes.
Chips and cheese. That's all he wants. And those places have loud music, busy people, a lot of noises, a lot of smells. That's overwhelming to him. But if he has his iPad, that helps him regulate. So he feels comfortable that way. And so at the risk of going against medical advice, which I never want to do, because should be a limit to screen time in some circumstances. But in our country, PJ wants his iPad, he's got it, unless he throws it, which he's been doing lately. But then you have Levi. He's his neurotypical 3-year-old brother. He sees PJ on his iPad all the time. Why can't he have one? So we thankfully, Levi likes to put it down and go play. Otherwise, but Kirsten, what are some things about our country? I think clothing optional for PJ.
Both of our kids like to be naked at home. They don't like to wear shoes outside ever. I am big on making home a safe space for PJ, and I'm kind of in, I guess, the low demand parenting at home because I feel like every time he's going anywhere, his overstimulation cup is getting filled up. He's getting a lot of demands at school. I just want home to be a place he can be safe and regulated. That's most important to me. So if he wants to eat whatever his safe food, Pirate's Booty is a big one for him along with fruit, that's fine. You can eat that. I will always try to take some of his more filling safe foods and just offer it to him with it. Like there's this one kind of Greek yogurt that he likes, one kind of beef stick that he'll eat sometimes, and just like let him choose. If he's choosing these little snacks, that's fine. It's keeping him regulated, but I'm also going to offer you something more nutritious with it. If you don't want to eat it, that's okay too. I don't know. What else are our crazy country rules? Jumping on furniture, climbing on furniture. That's fine.
Yeah. We'll have people come in sometimes, not in a disrespectful way at all, but they're like, "Do you know that PJ's standing on the kitchen island?" We're like, "Yeah, he does that." They're like, "Is it okay?" I mean, it's okay until it's not okay, but what are you going to do?
Well, I'm kind of like, if I can't stop him, the only way to stop him from doing that would be to stand right next to him 24/7. Like, I can't do that. I got another kid.
Or like get rid of your kitchen island.
Yeah, you can't do that. Then I try to show him how to do it safely. And then I just got to let him go.
The Levi still has, we call it a changing table, but the changing tables when you're a baby and whatever, there's one of those that functions as his dresser, but then you can throw him on top of it and do lotion or whatever you got to do, bedtime stuff. PJ, just yesterday, PJ like cleaned off all the stuff, or maybe you cleaned off all
No,
the stuff.
he threw it all on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So PJ took everything off of the top of that, gets on top of it, and just lays on his belly forever. And then he decided he wanted to start jumping off of it. So you hear this like house trimmer boom, thud. And Kirsten's like, "Should I stop him from doing that?" And I'm thinking, well, if you stop him from doing that, then he's going to the refrigerator next to jump off of it.
Yeah.
So you just like she said, you just try to make it as safe as you can and run with it. One of the, sorry if I'm overbearing, Janice. I want you to ask whatever you want to ask.
No,
But,
not at all. I no, this is great.
the Kirsten, talk about power and community, and what you're trying to accomplish there, because I think what Kirsten has tried to do is take her country, quote unquote country, and try to mesh that with other countries in some ways that allow families to get together and just be themselves without societal pressure or judgment?
Well, I feel like a really big problem for autism families is we're often isolated at home because it's hard for our kids to go places. And we might not be able to control them in public. If we have other kids around, we don't want to take them somewhere and let them bother people. Like, PJ loves to watch certain Disney movies. I've never taken him to a movie theater because that's going to be very disruptive to everyone else in there. So I'm trying to start up this group just for families with special needs kids to go out and do fun stuff in the community like other families get to do. And my thought is that, like, if you have enough families with special needs kids, you can get places to make accommodations for you. And then you don't have to worry, like, everybody here gets it, you know? They're not going to worry about my kid if he's stimming by screaming or spinning around in a circle. You know, they're not going to be like, she needs to control her children. You know, they're going to be like, oh, my kid does that too. It's fine. And that lets you get out of the house, talk to other parents who know what you're going through and get it, and do fun things, you know?
Which is very much missing. I mean, Janice, you, when Caroline was growing up, I gather that Caroline is, what is the correct neurotypical, whatever, not having autism. I assume you guys found some opportunity to go do things that were fun, right, in public.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And then I think let's then add some sort of diagnosis or label or whatever onto Caroline that made her, I don't know, say me 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 every 30 seconds because it's how she kept it together. You don't want to go to those places a lot as a parent because now not only are you helping me do her thing, but now you have all these other people staring and like, what are you doing that for? You need to get control of them. And that's kind of the thing I think Kirsten has built.
Well, trying to.
No, I'll give yourself credit.
Yeah. That's incredible to sort of to recognize that you need that space and want that space, but then to be able to go out and create it and have other people be a part of that too. That's no small thing, you know, like ideally or logistically to make that happen. And I think, you know, parents in general are so exquisitely sensitive to anybody saying anything about their kid that's, you know, what they might think is constructive, but we see it as a bit heart-wrenching. And then I don't think people necessarily understand just how gut-wrenching it is to have somebody even give you a look that they think that what your child is doing under your supervision is bad or wrong or something.
And not even that, just like safety. Like, I can't take both of the kids to the playground by myself because Levi's pretty young. He's only 3. I've got to be with him all the time. PJ's just going to run around. There's always a risk of him eloping. Like, we just can't do stuff that normal families get to do. But also back to the look about screen time. Just, I don't know. It's hard sometimes being in public and like I'm letting PJ use his iPad to regulate so that he can access these places, and then people being like, why is she letting her kid have an iPad in here? Like, we went to Disney World last year, which very overstimulating, very crowded, loud. He was in the stroller. We were going to another part of the park and he was watching his iPad as we were going through. And I was feeling embarrassed that, like, here's my child in the happiest place on earth watching his iPad, not looking around at anything, just like worrying about being judged by other parents. But also knowing if he didn't have that, he's probably going to be screaming and hitting his head and freaking out because there's just so much going on around him. You really just have to let go, which is easier said than done, of caring what other people think, and just think, is this working for my family? Okay, that's good. Good enough for me.
In our country.
In our country.
That's our laws.
You are a citizen of your country no matter where you go. So you
Let's say that Kirsten is the president, and I don't think I can be the vice president. I might be relegated to maybe like treasurer or something.
Somewhere in Parliament somewhere. So.
Yeah, somewhere. Maybe I'm just like sanitation overseer. Like I do take the trash out, so that's good. I want to mention, and I don't know, you guys correct me if this is bad terminology, but it's the way it's been presented to me in the past, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. Like, you get judged one time for one thing in public, a bad glance or like a comment, you can let it go. It's not like I need to fight you over this right now. But then you multiply that over PJ's 6 years of life, and everywhere you go, there's always something. At some point, like that snowball just gets so big that you can't carry it anymore. And I think getting to that point, and there's no recipe for that, is there, Kirsten? It's not like here's how you get to not care what people think. But I think just naturally you get to a point where the death by 1,000 cuts, you can't take one more cut. And so your only option at that point is to just say, screw you. I don't care. Don't care what you think. Not real worried about it.
And not to segue again, but that just made something pop in my head about how in public people are so understanding when they're little toddlers and they're cute. But as they get older and look like bigger kids and they're having these, not that autism has a look, but like observable traits of autism in public, then they're not so forgiving of that. It's like disability's fine if you're little and cute while you're doing it, but as you get older, they don't have a lot more tolerance for that.
And also, sometimes you said the parts of autism that are outwardly visible, but a lot of times people struggle with that you can't see it.
Oh yeah.
So like if PJ were in a wheelchair for some reason, that's people are gonna, oh, okay, I get it. But if you can't see it, human nature, I think, is to
judge.
Yeah.
Which I've seen another autism mom on Instagram. Her son is nonverbal and he's like my age, I think, close in his early 30s. And she has created these like neon green, almost construction vests that says autistic, please be kind. Just from things that have happened to him being out in public, for people being rude to him and not understanding why he's not speaking back and things like that.
That's interesting. And I think it's unfortunate that we have to do that.
It is that you have to do that. Like, you can't just be kind to people anyway,
It shouldn't be that hard, should it?
Yeah. Exactly. It's like somehow now we need to, sort of point that out, but and how to do that. But that's also sort of a I feel like such a, I want to choose such a weight for a parent or parents to feel like there's, doing everything that you can for your child, but then also trying to educate other people out in the community so that they give your child a chance, but then also give you some grace so that you can go out in the community and just do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And, Michael, that might be something good for us to talk about at some point going forward, is just how do parents want people to treat their kids? If you have a little kid who's tantruming, if you have a kid who's it's okay in their country to have an iPad, if there's a kid who's 10 that's having a meltdown at the grocery store, or if there's a grown-up that's I think that maybe what we can do is to sort of have a conversation about how do people who would be receiving those looks or those judgments, what do they want us to know? What do they wish that we knew that would make everybody feel like, oh, I know what to do here. So if there's somebody coming in a wheelchair, do I make eye contact? Do I not make eye contact? Does it matter? Does it not matter? And it's going to be case by case basis. But I don't think we really understand sort of as a community, what do people wish we knew? What does that look like?
And how do I help? Yeah, for sure. I've made a note here. How do I help? It's unknown, and it's probably different. What we talked about countries, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think the best we can do is our best effort to understand as many standpoints as we can,
and just give grace to people.
No, that one is universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on too long. I know that every listener and every guest, Kirsten, has a very strict, tight schedule. But one thing that if we can briefly touch on that I just want listeners to know that they are not alone is self-injurious behavior. You and I it crushes our souls when PJ hits his head. It's one thing if he hits us, but if he hits his little head on the floor, it crushes us. But I just want you, if nothing else, to let people know that sucks. That's not fun,
Yeah,
but it's
it
part of
really
our life.
sucks. And it is a part of our life. And I feel like I'm just getting to the point. I feel like it used to be all just accept autism, all parts of it. It's a different neurotype and it's beautiful. And it is. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But that doesn't negate that there are really hard, horrible parts of it that I wish I could change. Like, I don't wish that he weren't autistic. That's him. That's his brain. If you can't remove autism from PJ, that would be a different PJ, you
And
know?
that would be awful.
That would be a lobotomy, I think is the only way to do that. But do I wish that he didn't hit his head so hard that he now has a bald spot on the top of his head and has seemed like he should probably get stitches? Yeah. Do I wish that he would stop hitting me so hard all the time over every inconvenience in his life? Yes, I do. It's just something that sucks, and I really don't have any answers because I've tried everything.
But that's the answer. That there
Yeah.
is no answer. I mean, you can consult, as we have, with therapists, with professionals all over.
I mean, he's literally been doing this as young as like 14 months old, hitting his head.
And just like him jumping off of the kitchen island or the coffee bar or whatever he chooses that day, all you can do is try your best to keep him safe.
Yeah.
We've tried helmets and cushions, and thankfully now, for the most part, he's at a point when he'll go to one soft little neoprene
Yeah.
thing in the bathroom. He'll hit there or the couch, or the recliner arm,
Yeah.
things that are softer. But if you're listening to this and you are feeling so isolated and alone because your kid is doing this behavior that not only is like culturally and socially awkward, like what if he does it in Kroger or Walmart or whatever, but also like at home, your heart hurts.
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's
hard
your
to see them hurting themselves like that.
So just know that while there's no answer, therapies can help. Different tips and tricks can help, and sometimes they don't. But just know that you're not on an island by yourself. Like there are plenty of other people going through that, but nobody wants other people to see it.
Yeah.
So they hide it on social media. They hide it in public.
And that's the thing.
Can I just jump in really quick? And I'm saying this as an outside clinician, not as a parent of a child with autism, but I think that there's an additional piece, that's related, but not necessarily directly related to a level of autism, is sort of the frustration and grief that happens with parents. As I think, I think that there can be a level of grief and frustration that happens at a level 3 for one parent that feels like a level 1 for another parent, or vice versa. And I think that sometimes it's related to the amount of impact of the diagnosis, but I think sometimes it's also just the supports that a parent, like you were saying, Michael, the supports that a parent or a family has, and the grief that goes along with it, to be able to sort of, say, okay, this is my plan. This is what this is what I'm going to try to do or accomplish or whatever. But I think that was something that I saw early on, is just the how difficult it was for parents to just receive that information, and how they held on to it day to day, independent of what their child was doing or not doing. And I that's just such a big component of, I think, is how someone gets up and addresses the day in the morning.
Yeah, and I think every parent like you, Kirsten, well, first of all, can I say maybe we get rid of I mean, we can't. It's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that tells us how to do this, but I wish we could get rid of the level thing, because it in and of itself is so
Yeah.
judgmental, and we're talking about compartmentalizing personalities and giving them levels or whatever. But that said, every parent, despite the level that they were
Yeah.
told their child is, every parent deserves to say what you just said. You know, you go through war every single day, and maybe the war looks one way for you and looks different for somebody else. But despite a level, every parent deserves that goes through what you go through every single day deserves to stand up and go, you know what, this sucks. And if your biggest concern is that your kid puts their shoes on the wrong feet today, well, good for you. You must be, it
Yeah.
must be nice.
I feel like when you first get into the autism acceptance, it's kind of almost like toxic positivity, like if that makes sense. Like I felt for a long time like I couldn't say that any of it sucked, or I would be saying that like PJ sucked for being autistic. Like I couldn't admit that parts of it were hard. I don't know
I
if that
Wow,
agree.
makes sense.
Kirsten,
Because like
that
it
thank
truly,
you for
I
sharing.
thought he was autistic for a very long time, and I was having a hard time
Convincing your husband that he was.
convincing Michael to let me go get a diagnosis. Um, so when we got it, literally that day, I was like, okay, we're just gonna go here and get it and move on. Like, and he's my first child, so that's all I know is just like being an autism mom. And I feel like now that it's gotten a little harder as he's gotten older and bigger, and I'm still caring for him at the same level you would care for a young child, and he's having more aggressive behaviors, and he's a big kid. I can't, it just makes me worry more about the future now. I guess before I was always like, oh, he's young and he's so smart. He's gonna be fine. He'll be able to live independently. He'll speak. But now that he's 6 and yes, he's speaking more, it's not like I can have a conversation with him and he's still having really aggressive behaviors. He's not independent. I just worry about what the future looks like, and that I feel like the grief is hitting me kind of now, like years later.
I mean, as deep
And
as that is, it's right.
and not even about the diagnosis, like just I guess the lack of support and like life looking different. Like most people think, okay, I'm gonna raise my kids till they're 18 and then they're gonna go off on their own, and then it's like there's no playbook, or like I have no idea what's gonna happen, you know? And he could still become independent and gain all those skills. But if he doesn't, there's no path for that.
There's no guidebook for sure.
Yeah. And from what I've read online, there's really no good options. It kind of feels like there's support for autistic kids and nothing for adults. They're kind of just like forgotten parts of society.
It's true. I think there was so much that was done early on, back in the late 1990s and 2000s, and everything was all put on early diagnostics and early intervention and elementary school, and then those kids eventually aged out and graduated from high school, and
Hmm.
now there are a few programs here and there in colleges for neurodivergence learning centers and things, but there's a whole cohort of adults that are not getting services and support. And I just want to say really quick, someone explained this to me before, and I thought it was really helpful because now this is what I see in my head, is that we always were told that autism is a spectrum. So you think of a line, right? There's like high, middle, low end, whatever. That's a spectrum. It's a linear line. And what she was saying is, imagine that line in a sphere, not a
I've
circle,
seen
but a
that.
sphere.
Yeah.
And I just love that because it's so hard to even describe to somebody all the things that are in that sphere. A line makes sense. You can say to somebody a line, that's level 1, 2, and 3. But if you think about a sphere and all the things that are going on, that's the sense of humor, that's being funny, that's being feisty, that's liking bananas, that's not liking meat, that's like all of those other things, that's in the sphere. And I think of that, and when I think of the kids, I think of this like how like a bubble has all the like rainbows sort of like in it, and it's always sort of like moving before it pops. That's what I thought of sort of think of is just like this dynamic sort of sphere of things constantly in flux and changing, but still fragile but strong at the same time. So anyway, I just felt like I
Yeah.
wanted to say that to
Yeah.
you.
When we go back to the country rules, it's like I have to think about how much capacity I have because Michael and I never get a break. Nobody will watch our kids. So we're 24/7, 365. I mean, we haven't had a date in years. So maybe if I had more capacity, I wouldn't let him climb up on the kitchen counter and jump off and do some of the crazier things that he does. But, I have to try to look out for my mental health too. And, I got bigger fish to fry than him jumping off the table.
Amen.
Yes.
Well, guys, I absolutely hate to, because I think we probably have 2 or 3 more conversations to have in this arena, and I think we will. But we probably should shut down. Kirsten, just thank you so much for being so transparent and opening for positive or negative things and sharing that with us. I know that listeners will take many, many, many things from that, and at the very least say, I'm not the only one going through it. But I think there's a lot more than just that you've provided to us. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Kirsten, thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
I always, say to someone, oh, give your, have grace for yourself, or you are the definition of grace in this. And I'm so grateful and happy and appreciative that you were willing to come here and be so candid and honest and share who you are, because I think just that in and of itself will sort of be a spark for other people. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I love talking to you all.
Well, come do it again.
I will.
All right, guys, this has been the Autism Exchange Podcast, where we communicate and collaborate. We are fostering conversations for families and for professionals. This is real talk, real sharing that is really relatable.